Welcome live from Utah. This is the weekly long time schedule. This is seem to be having a little bit of connection problems, so not too sure here. A little bit of a connection problem, so we'll see how tonight goes. Maybe there's a lot of people in my neighborhood on the internet. So the show is to ask any kind of questions that you may have about the state of Utah, or real estate, investing, even the United States. We do get quite a few viewers from around the world. So if you have a question about the United States, by all means, be glad to answer those questions also. If you subscribe and hit that bell notification, you'll be notified of every time I do a new weekly show or a new weekly video. So it's a handy way to stay in touch. So it's been a great week. Had a first question here. What was the storm like there? Parts of New Mexico had heavy snow and freezing weather, unsafe to drive. Well, so last weekend we had a smaller storm come through, and we had a big storm come through yesterday. And Utah handles it very well. We no major problems. If you're in the Salt Lake County area, received a lot of snow. We get the lake effect snow sometimes. So after it dumped once, it kind of comes back around and keeps pounding it, and it piled up and piled up. I don't remember the exact numbers for Salt Lake City. I was in Salt Lake City yesterday afternoon, after pretty much by about 10, 11 in the morning, it was done. So I was in Salt Lake in the afternoon and evening yesterday. The roads were great. They got all the roads clear, perfect driving conditions. Once the snowplows push the snow and the sun comes out, it gets to melt anything remaining, turn it to water. It gets a little tricky sometimes in the mornings because it can freeze in certain areas, especially like on sidewalks. Now you have to be a little bit careful on days like this morning. But we handled the storm normal, just like we typically do in Utah. We're used to it. Yesterday's morning commute, if you had to commute somewhere, was treacherous going into the Salt Lake market. Salt Lake got hit the heaviest. You travel further south, Provo-Orem area got less than what Salt Lake got. If you travel up towards Ogden, they got far less. In Ogden was about 2 inches. I was also in the Ogden area in the morning, and they received about 2 inches, depending where you're at. If you're up on the East Bench, they received a little bit more. So yeah, we did very well. It's great news for our ski resorts, our snowpack. We rely on snowpack for water. There are areas of the mountains that received 60 inches of snow with this storm that came down. So great news. We heavily rely on snowpack. It's as that melts and fills our reservoirs and supplies us with water. So I read somewhere today where with this storm puts us back towards about a normal winter for snowpack and precipitation. So good news on that front for the state of Utah. One of the biggest things that will be coming up next is we'll probably get some more storms, and we'll definitely get rain. Typically what comes up next is they monitor how quick the temperatures rise as we start getting into April, May, and June. Because if the snow melts too fast, you can have some issues. So anyways, so any questions you might have, by all means, shoot them there. We'll go through them. This is unrehearsed. We just kind of wing it. Whatever comes up, we talk about it and go from there. I also printed out some of the comments from some of my videos, go over some of them. And I know some people watch the videos and don't get a chance to go back and see some of the comments, especially previous comments that were made on some of the older videos that people are now watching now. So go through some of them and we'll see how we go. So New Mexico, with your weather down there, did you experience like Texas, or where you have no electricity in certain areas? I'd be curious to know about that. In Utah, we might have had one or two little areas of electricity through the storm, but nothing that really made the news. Not that I recall at all. So mostly it was just a snowstorm. So. Okay. Let's see what we've had as for questions. All right, a recent one. Recent video I just had about the population growth in Utah and job growth in Utah. They asked, can you break it down into counties? I don't have county specific information, but when it comes to the growth that we've had, as far as just population growth, a majority of it was in northern Utah. Southern Utah is seeing growth in southern Utah also, but the majority would be in northern Utah. Job growth the same way. The bulk of it was in northern Utah. Southern Utah did receive some, but the growth as far as population goes would be along the Wasatch Front. Weber, Davis, Salt Lake County, and Utah County. They're the four biggest counties seeing growth. That doesn't mean there's not some other areas growing. Summit County, Box Elder County, Cache County is seeing some growth. The majority of what we're seeing mostly is Weber, Davis, Salt Lake, and Utah County. So that kind of goes hand in hand, kind of where some of the jobs are too, or job increases have come. News reports: Southeast New Mexico was having temporary power turnoffs due to the grid. Didn't seem to affect the rest of the state. Okay. So nothing like Texas. Texas has thousands and thousands of power outages. And I was just reading on the internet on TMZ.com. Of course, you know, it's one of those websites that intrigues you about Senator Ted Cruz flying his family to Cancun, basically getting out of Texas because it didn't have any electricity. And he's claiming he just flew down there to take his kids down there, and then he was flying back. But I think he got caught out a little bit, and you know, rightfully so. There's thousands of people in Texas without power that need him in the state of Texas, and with his power that he's got, being a senator, to help restore power at the least. Along with everything else that goes with that. But he needs to be calling people in from, say, Utah, Idaho, Nevada, places where we have skilled electricians and power line people, and send them into states like Texas and help out. I mean, there's a lot of states that are not affected by power outages right at the moment, and you need to pull them resources from contacts you have in other states and say, hey, can you send experienced people with their trucks and boom lifts and everything to help restore power. So, and I know what that's like. We had it about 6-7 months ago during the pandemic. We had a freak windstorm come through, lost power. We personally lost power at my house here. I was without power for 7 days. So we had linemen and special power guys come from Idaho, Wyoming, and somewhere in the Midwest. I want to say like Nebraska, Oklahoma, somewhere around there, came to help restore power for people in Utah. Much, much, much appreciated. So, in my opinion, that's what Senator Cruz should be doing in his state of Texas, is gathering all the resources he can to help restore power and take care of people in need that need basic items like gasoline and water and sort all that things out. So great. Didn't mean to go off tangent a little bit there, but how's the job market for construction? Well, absolutely booming. I do not know of a construction trade that is not hiring. So from commercial construction to residential hiring, everybody is hiring. There is a big shortage, very big shortage. So I know a lot of people in the construction industry. and skilled help is much needed. So, okay, the electric companies have a sharing agreement to help each other out during storms. Yes, great. I mean, that's what we need. And yeah, we need to be pulling people from everywhere to help restore power in these states in a time of need, by far. So, I'll be visiting Utah this March to look for apartments in Ogden and Salt Lake City. What places do you recommend visiting? It'll be my first time in Utah. Okay, so as far as places to visit, this will be your first time in Utah. And I guess it depends how much time you have. I would say explore as much as you can. If you're limited to, say, maybe 3 or 4 days, yeah, definitely visit the whole Ogden to Salt Lake City area, Park City area. Maybe visit some of our national parks we have down south. Get you a good round view of the whole state of Utah. Now, if you have more time, maybe 7, 8, 9 days, I would spend it in the whole region. Things down south, like we have the Grand Canyon, not in Utah, but in Arizona. You can go down the Grand Canyon. We have Las Vegas if you've never been to Las Vegas. Take trips to cities like that. Or you can go to the north, visit Idaho and Montana, over to areas like Jackson Hole and Yellowstone National Park, and a lot of great areas, Cody, Wyoming. So kind of do a tour. It's real simple if you're flying in and getting a rental car from, say, Salt Lake Airport. All those destinations are available by a simple car drive, just a few hours down the road. Even like Las Vegas from Salt Lake City is about 5.5 hours. So it's all doable. I would see as much as you can. And if you decide not to move to Utah, you will have experienced a great part of the United States, and you can't beat that. Can't beat that at all. So see as much as you can. So, all right. First time in Utah. Okay, great. Another question. Got an interview with the U of Utah tomorrow via Skype, and I also have a deadline to sign my lease tomorrow here in Pennsylvania. Lots of laughs. Figures. Great. Well, University of Utah. Great. I'm not too. The University of Utah encompasses a lot. So we have the actual University of Utah University for school education. We also have University of Utah Medical. So they hospitals and clinics and everything that entails that whole medical side. So I'm not too sure what your field of expertise is, but the University of Utah is great. I love the University of Utah. So, and I basically owe the University of Utah its medical staff. I can't thank them enough. I had some medical problems, very serious, back in 2009. Or before 2009, and had to go in for a brain surgery in 2009, and it was done at the University of Utah. Their particular surgeon that worked on me, was at the time, I'm not too sure about now, he was the only surgeon in the state, so that even did this part of the brain and et cetera, et cetera. And he gets patients from all over, but the care and I basically owe him my life. So I love the University of Utah. I can never say enough good things about the University of Utah. And that's one reason that me personally, I could probably never move out of the area. I may need that specialized care again in my life. So it's handy to know where I can go and what I can do. So, all right, thanks. For a medical secretary position. Okay, great. Yeah. So, yeah, I would assume that, so the University of Utah also has locations throughout the state too. They just built a brand new one, probably about 20 miles north of Salt Lake City. They have other locations also, but very good. University of Utah. And if you are working at the University of Utah, if you're looking at traveling up there, not too sure if they give you any kind of like allowance or anything like that for mass transit. Sometimes a lot of employers are doing that. It's a great way to get there by mass transit. They have the light rail Trax train that goes right up to the University of Utah. So it's a great way to travel, definitely. So it's something to look into. Depend exactly where they would have you working. You might be working from home too. A lot of people in Utah right now are working from home, so maybe your position might be from home. But yeah, University of Utah. My son and husband are planning to leave southern Utah this coming Wednesday, weather permitting. They hope to look over properties with 1 acre or more. Any suggestions? Okay, so they're planning to leave southern Utah this coming Wednesday. Oh, to come up north to look for properties with 1 acre or more. Sorry, go to southern Utah. Okay. So suggestions. Southern Utah is a big area. To find 1 acre or more in the area of, say, St. George, Hurricane, those cities is very, very difficult. Very difficult. Needle in a haystack, pretty much. It's typically been known as a retirement community, smaller lots, very small lots, et cetera, et cetera. Now, when you move areas further north, closer towards Cedar City, or out to the east in some of those more rural areas, yes, land with homes available, yes, by far. But if you were to be somewhere, in like that St. George area right there, it's very tough, very tough. So that'd be a good start. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. We're in California. Lots. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Highway 89. Yeah. Along Highway 89, there is, that is to the east of St. George and actually I-15. And there is a lot of rural towns going down through there. It has been many, many years since I've actually traveled down through some of those areas. And I can't think of some of them that come to mind actually, but yeah, there definitely is. There's a lot of small towns right along Highway 89 that you go through. As a matter of fact, you get going on 65, 70 mile an hour on that Highway 89, and all of a sudden, boom, the speed limit changes and you're going through a small town. So there's quite a few. Yes. And I would assume you could probably find something available. So great. So from California to that area. Yeah. Different change. Yeah. Definitely rural country living, 100% right in that area. Yes. All right. So I had can you divide the growth count? Okay. The one I did about unique laws, this is kind of a funny comment. And I was talking about a pesky beaver, and somebody made the comment, isn't pesky beaver an alternate name for your mother-in-law? So that drew some laughs from some people. So are there single floor condos suitable for elderly in Davis or Weber counties? We have only seen multi-floor condos. Okay. It very, very rare. Very rare. I mean, it's one level living, but I think what you're referring to, the actual building. Yeah, there are some around. They don't come up a whole lot. There are some, but not as much. Builders just have made more money by going multi-level. There's just more money in it over the years. They've capitalized on that. So But there are some. South Ogden's got some. A couple of great communities in South Ogden has. They don't come available a lot, so you really have to jump in when one does come available. But there are, South Ogden comes to mind quite a bit. A couple in North Ogden area. You'll probably, there, and also in Layton area, there's some, we wouldn't quite call them a condo. It'd be more like a house, but it's smaller like a condo. Some of those come available too. We have lived in the country. Yes. Okay. Great. Yeah. When someone says that they're moving from California to the country, it's definitely something that I'd recommend they experience first. In California, you're used to amenities around you, movie theaters, you name it, everything, especially Southern California. You have everything. There's not much at all, not there. But when you move to more rural areas or country, it requires a drive for some of those amenities that some people are used to just right around the corner. It is different. So, okay, thanks. We're trying to keep the in-laws out of our house. Yeah. That's a tough one. Yeah. Is solar power common there? Yes, very popular. Very, very popular solar power is, and becoming even more popular. We have door-to-door salesmen selling solar power all the time. In my neighborhood, if I had to give a rough percentage, I would say probably 15% of the homes have solar power. So there's a little bit of debate right now on the solar power. There, a few years ago, there was a lot of rebates and money and tax incentives, and some of those have dwindled away. The solar companies say it's hurting the industry. I don't know the exact numbers, the sales numbers that are happening with solar power, but that's what you hear on the news. So we're used to driving to get our goods. Okay. Well, I will assume that you're not living in some of the areas of Southern California that I was thinking about, that I visit. So, looking at the area between Farmington and Roy, are the jet noise from Hill Air Force Base a problem? How's the housing, single-family residence market looking in the next couple months? Okay. We'll start with the beginning of that question, jet noise. Primarily, it can change from time to time, but primarily, when you look at a map of Hill Air Force Base's runway, Google Earth, whatever, they take off to the south. They gain altitude very quickly. And, the military, they're trying to respect, they understand people live. So they gain altitude real quickly over Layton, and then they normally always bank to the west. So they go out across portions of Layton, and then they're gone. Coming in, they typically come in from the north, Roy area, and I actually golf in the Roy area, and I've actually seen them come by, and it's not being outside. You do hear it, but they are not, when they're coming into land, they're not in afterburner mode. So you don't have as much noise. When they're taking off and they're in afterburner mode, yes, it's more noisy. But at the end of the runway, there are spots in Layton that they do not build homes on. So there is quite a bit of Layton where they actually turn and start banking to the west before they even come across some people's houses where you hear the noise. So I don't really think it's I've never really had a problem. And years ago, I lived in Clinton, which is along that area. and never really a problem. Inside the house, you didn't hear it. But if you're outside, maybe mowing your grass or something, you would probably hear the odd jet or two going by. But it never really bothered me. Not at all. Not at all. So, the second part about the housing market, yeah, it's our housing market is wild. I mean, the whole country is not just Utah. The whole country is crazy, and it's competitive. It's very competitive. So, and I was just talking to somebody this week, and for my out-of-state buyers, I would say 100% of them right now is all virtual showings. I'm doing virtual showings. So, and basically, like the videos that you see me produce on YouTube, I do the exact same thing. I don't edit it and stuff like that and put B-roll in and stuff, but I literally go to the house, and from the time I walk in the door, the video's rolling, try to go through every room and make about a 10 to 15 minute video, and I email it to clients, and they can make decisions like that. And it's pretty much impossible to be able to fly out here for 3 or 4 days or a week and find a home, get it under contract, and go back home. It's multiple offers. You may not find a home that meets all your criteria. It's tough. So I'm doing virtual showings every single day. I'm using my GoPro in a home every single day of the week, without a doubt. And then I come home and email the documents, or email the file. And that's how we're doing it. That's how we're doing it now. So, no, we live in Central Valley, agriculture area. Okay, yeah, different part of California than I was thinking. Great. Thank you for answering my question. I appreciate your channel. I'll return to it soon. You're welcome. Anytime at all. That's what I'm here for. Thanks. Great info. And you have a great site. You're welcome. Where are you moving from, out of curiosity? I talk to a lot of agents around the country, so I do know some of the other markets and the challenges that are going on in other markets also. So, and a few things for Utah, why we're so crazy in the housing market is supply and demand. And there's a lot of people moving here. There's a lot of companies moving here, a lot of jobs coming here still, even with the pandemic, and no joke. Also, the low interest rates, historically low interest rates. I've never seen rates this low in my lifetime. When I talk to my dad, he's never seen rates this low in his lifetime either. So this might be a once in a lifetime opportunity to have an interest rate this low. Don't know. Maybe in the future they'll who knows? But it has never been. This is not the norm. Norm is normally about 6, 7, 8% interest rates. That's the norm. You talk to my dad, and he'll tell you back in the early 80s, it was 18%. When he bought his home in Kaysville, Utah, back in 1988, it was 12%. So, all right. From SoCal, my kids live in North Salt Lake City. Oh, gotcha. You're from Southern California also. Yeah. Yep. A lot of people moving from Southern California, actually all over the country. So it's unique. The pandemic has created some unique things from the pandemic that I've never seen out of all the years I've done stuff. And I actually answer, not to be political or try to sway one way or the other particularly, but I have had over the last 8 months more phone calls, and very, very rare. And when I say, well, what brings you to Utah? And some of the answers are, we want to move from a blue state to a red state. And I'm like, 3-4 years ago, we never heard that. Never would someone ever come up with that. But I talk to people from Chicago, California, and they're looking at Utah and Texas, all like red states. But I personally, living in Utah through the pandemic, I do not know what it's like to live in a state like California where they had mass lockdowns and et cetera, et cetera. We've been open the whole time. So I guess maybe I'm just very fortunate. So do not know some of the struggles that some of these other states have experienced. One more. Why so many houses under contract and a couple weeks later back on sale? Yes. Okay. Yeah, that does occur. That does occur in this market. And this is the reason. This is the reason for some of it. And part of it's to do with the way some agents are doing work and doing business in this market. They are some people are putting ridiculous offers. It's a $300,000 home, and they'll say, "I'll pay $375. I'll pay $380." But they also check the box that it must appraise for that value. Well, these appraisals aren't coming in for this $40,000, $50,000, $80,000 above list price. So you end up getting the report back from the appraiser, and the seller a lot of times is, "Well, I thought you were paying $380 for my home." And it's like, "Well, we said we pay $380 only if it appraised for $380. So sometimes the deals will go sour and it breaks down, et cetera, et cetera. It's definitely, these multiple offer situations can be very, very tricky, very, very tricky. But that's one of the reasons for a lot of some people cannot come up with the difference. So the sellers are like, "Well, you still said $380. The appraisal come in at $300, let's get the loan for $300 and you write me a check for $80,000. And some people just don't have that in their pockets, just don't. So, and then some buyers too are doing that just to get the home under contract, knowing well that they're not going to pay like the $380 when the appraisal comes in for $300 or $310. Then they're going to go back to selling. Go, "Well, your home only appraised for X amount, so now you have to sell it to me for this price." And some of the sellers are like, "No, I'm not playing that game." So it's it's all to do with financing and stuff. A lot of it. So yeah, it's not a no. Agents handle it different, and really have to read what you're offering and make it clear and concise, et cetera, et cetera. Some of these contingencies are just not going to happen. So, yep. A lot of things happen when you're in a seller's market. It's that way all over the country, though, so not just Utah. Some of my more comments that I was going through. When I was in Utah, when is the last time you drove in Utah? It's a nightmare, especially during the never-ending road construction. Well, I will agree with that. We do have a lot of road construction going on. The growth is just, they're just trying to widen freeways and do everything they can. But when we talk road or we talk about traffic, I mean, I do complain about the Utah traffic, but I've also been in cities like Houston, Southern California, Baltimore, Maryland, and our traffic is minor, very minor compared to some of those cities. Atlanta, Georgia, woo, yeah. So, on top of that, Utah drivers are some of the rudest, worst drivers I've ever encountered. Well, yeah, I guess living here, I don't quite see that bit, but maybe we are. Oh, and the other comments, and this was on one of my other ones. How do I send a drone? Very, very cool. It's actually a takeoff of, I actually had somebody send me a drone. So somebody actually took me up on that. I had to get a document off somebody. We met at a park. And he had a drone. He flew the document over by drone. It's pretty cool. We had a good laugh about it. Had a good laugh. But I come up with the drone. If people remember the saying many years ago, send it by the pigeon carrier. We used to get mail by pigeon carriers. So that was a very, very common saying, send it by pigeon carrier. So great. So Pennsylvania is a mess. Okay. Is that with the weather? Did you get a lot of weather in Pennsylvania with some of that? How's the UV exposure in Utah? Well, I really don't know. I don't know if our UV exposure is any different than anywhere else in the United States as per se. I mean, we are a little bit higher in elevation, so 'cause we're not at sea level. So maybe we do have a little bit more exposure. That'd be my guess, but I haven't heard anything about UV exposure been mentioned on the news or anything like that. That's been right. Oh, the traffic in Pennsylvania. Okay. All right. Makes sense. Okay. Okay. How pet friendly are the communities? We're looking at moving north of Salt Lake City, somewhere around Hill Air Force Base. Well, state of Utah is very pet friendly. Very, very. People in Utah, pets and outdoor recreation kind of go hand in hand. So it's not uncommon to see people on hiking and biking trails with their loved ones, and that includes their pets. Yeah, and our parks, and especially the new parks that are being built in communities, are very pet friendly, and they've been designed for pets. So we actually have some parks too where you have a no leash law. Your animal can run without a leash. So yes, very pet friendly. Yes. And if you're in the veterinarian business, veterinarian or a technician, lots and lots of jobs. Lots of animals. My wife's in that field, so I know a little bit about it. Yeah, always hiring. Everywhere around is hiring for veterinarian field. It's very busy in this state. A lot of animal lovers in the state of Utah. Okay, what do you think about Logan, Utah? Logan, Utah is located in Cache Valley. I actually love Cache Valley. It is a hidden gem, 100%. I love my trips up to the Cache Valley, the Logan area. Absolutely love my trips up there. You come out of Brigham City up through the canyon and pop out of the canyon, and it all opens up to you. It is definitely a hidden gem. You have main downtown Logan, which has everything you would need. So grocery stores and you name it. But then you also have rural areas to Logan. So lots of areas, Hiram and places like that. North Logan, Petersboro, Benson. A lot of country living just outside of town there. Literally 5-10 minute drive right into town. Great area. Great area. Great university up there, Utah State University. Very great. So great sports program. I do follow their sports programs. So yes, absolutely great. As a matter of fact, if anybody was considering Logan, Utah, not only just take it from me, but the last football coach that they had at Utah State University, Coach Anderson. The current one is called Coach Anderson also. They hired somebody, Coach Anderson again. But anyways, he was the head coach for the Utah State Aggies about 10 years ago. Did a great job, got promoted to some big jobs, went to Wisconsin, ran their program for a long time, and Oregon State, came back to the University of Utah. Anyways, he never sold his home in Logan, Utah. He ended up loving Logan, Utah, and never sold his home. And when the job opening came open again at Utah State University, he applied to be the head coach again, and was hired as the head coach, and still had his original home there. They had always planned to come back to Logan out of all the places he went to. So he absolutely loves Cache Valley. That's so. I'm back. Great to have you back. Okay, here was a comment that it becomes controversial, but they're worried about moving to Utah and having religion shoved down my throat. And you do hear that from time to time, and I will say this on the thing. We'll phrase it a different way, but the LDS Church does have missionaries, and they travel all over the United States, actually all over the world. So young men and women serve the church as missionaries, and they go all over the world. They are out there doing a job. That's the way I see it is, they're just out there doing a job, and they do knock on doors. It's no different, in my opinion, than the solar salesman, the dish network guy, the landscaping guy. Everybody comes to your door trying to sell you something. If you are not interested, there's a couple ways you can politely say I'm not interested, and they will respect that. Also, we do have Ring doorbells nowadays. You can always see who's at the front door and not answer the doorbell. It's so simple these days. So yeah, nothing's really pushed on you. I mean, missionaries do knock on doors in neighborhoods, very, very, very common. So, but you do have options. You can not answer the door, and but it's very similar. In every state's got solar salesmen and Dish Network and Direct TV. So how you handle them in other states is the exact same way. They're out there doing a job, and I always have respect for them. It's a very, very tough job, going door to door with anything, whether you're selling solar or you're a missionary or whatever. It is a tough job, having doors shut in your face every day. So it's a tough job, but so let's see. What is the furthest city in Utah from Las Vegas? Gambling problem here. Well, that would be Logan, Utah. So do you know of any large open areas, preferably flat, suitable for RC vehicles, planes and rockets? Okay. Yeah. So I do. And so in northern Utah, and you're going to put me on the spot here, and I do not know the club names, but there is a remote control club out 12th Street in Ogden. You go way out 12th Street, and they own land out there. They have a runway and everything. They have a club that you join, and guys go out there, guys and ladies, and they fly their airplanes. I've been out there once. They had an open house one time. Went out there, stacks of people there flying around their airplanes. Really, really cool experience. So that is a availability. There's also one located in Davis County, and I'm not too sure. I believe it's in Layton. I'm not too sure. It might be in Syracuse. I'm not too sure of exactly where it's at out there, but the facility that I went to, and this was a few years ago, was a fantastic facility. They own land out there, lots of fields around. So yes, 100%. Yeah. I can't think of the club. Shoot me an email sometime, and I'm not too sure when I would get back to you on that email, but I know a man that is a member out there. So when I run into him, I can ask him for some more details about it. He's a member. He builds in his house all the remote control airplanes and stuff like that. So when I run into him, or I can definitely get some more information. Okay, when I worked in Denver, I dispatched cable technicians in Utah. One of them told me, if you are not LDS, you will be shunned. Any truth to that? Or was his perception? Yeah, I think it was his perception. I honestly don't think you would be shunned in Utah. Not at all. Some people in neighborhoods, and I do hear this from time to time. One thing you have to keep in mind with some of your neighbors, it's not that they do not want to talk to you. You have to remember that some of the Mormon families have a lot going on, typically larger families. And, they're busy, whether it's church on Sunday or church activities during the week, or kids with school activities and recreation activities and everything. Their week is packed solid. So they live a busy lifestyle. It's a chore, when you've got 3, 4, 5 kids that you're taking care of. So it's not so much that they aren't associating with you. It's that they probably would love to, but it's hard to fit everything into your schedule that is required. So, that happens. So I don't think about being shunned. Not at all. Not at all. You have to, and depends on what situation you're into. Like, say if you're in a dating situation, it's not that you are shunned by a male or female that is LDS. It's just, you have to remember too that some of their values might be they would want someone in their own faith so that they can share some of the same things they enjoy doing, going to church and et cetera, et cetera. So they're not probably as interested as someone that is not part of their own faith, mostly because of some of those things. Now, it's not uncommon that you find people who date or marry that are, one person is in the LDS religion and one is not. But and then some people, I don't, you can't date somebody. Or it's just that is what their desire is to possibly marry somebody, and it goes with all faiths. So sometimes, so it's not just the Mormon faith. It's, it'd be all faiths sometimes that, people would like someone with similar interest as they are. So keep them in mind. But no, apart from that, nah. So I don't see much else. So cool. See what are the comments I had here. Furthest city away. What jobs are available in Utah? I've heard mostly of tech jobs available. Tech is what does come up a lot of times, but there is about every career field that I can think of available in Utah. Companies galore. I was just down in Salt Lake City today, down California Avenue, and the companies are packed out there. Absolutely packed. You name the company, they probably had a location out there. So, another job one, graduate engineering college in May, planning on leaving, coming to Utah. Is it hard to find a job in engineering? No. Engineers are much needed. I've got friends that are engineers, never have a problem, would not have a problem getting another job. Not at all. So, as a matter of fact, I've got a good friend of mine, and he worked for a company, and they offered an early retirement. He's an engineer, early retirement. He wasn't ready to retire, but so he took the early retirement and found another job about 20, 30 miles away, and is collecting a retirement from one and a paycheck from another. And he flat out says to me, Mike, I'm making almost double the money. So, had no problem finding a job at all. So great opportunity. He's making the most of it. They're creating a wish list of everything they want to get paid off and purchased before retirement, him and his wife, and motorhomes, things like that on the list. And he said, we're going to knock all that out and and take advantage of the double paychecks, close to double paychecks, something like that. Been trying to convince my elderly mom to move out to Utah. Where's a good place for her to move to? Definitely would have a discussion with you on that. I guess I like to know a lot about hobbies and interests, and a little bit about, do you need anybody need any kind of medical attention? Do you have to be next to a particular specialist so you have a shorter commute? Some of those things. But we are seeing more and more people retiring in the state of Utah, and they're coming here for the outdoor recreation. They want to live an active lifestyle and live as long as they possibly can. I am seeing many, many people, and we don't hit the radar for in any of the magazines or anything for, top places to retire. Our neighboring state of Nevada does. One of the big things with Nevada is they have no income tax, so state income tax. Where in Utah, we do have a state income tax, but some people are willing to pay that and come to the state to live here, to live an active lifestyle, to be able to ski and hike and bike, whatever their interest is, even if their skill level is just being able to walk around the park. With age, maybe they can't hike up a mountainside, but they want to around a park with their dog, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm seeing it more and more and more people choosing Utah as a retirement. So possibly moving to Ogden for a job this summer. Okay. Contemplating if I should buy my first home or keep renting. What do average cost down payment look like for starter homes near the Ogden area? Thanks. Okay. So as far as down payments go, really depends on what loan program you're in. There are some low to no down loan programs if you qualify for them, et cetera, et cetera. So it can change. As far as average costs, and I probably have to know a little bit more, but if you want to, I would say the best thing to do is just shoot me an email and give me a rough idea of price or something. I'll put you on an email list that for the whole area, or in particular cities if you just want to pick out some cities, whatever you think you have in mind. Or we can just do all of Weber County if you would like. And when something new hits the market, each day it'll just send it to your inbox, and then you can view them whenever you have time. And you'll get description, photos, anything you want. Anybody who would like that, I'm more than happy to do that for you. And that way you can learn the market. You can get a great viewpoint, and you can also, maybe something pops up there. You'll be able to go on Google Earth or Google Maps. You can see exactly where it's at, where things are located, to get an idea. I think it's a great way to learn the market. And I no problem doing that at all. So just let me know. And if you are on my list getting any of that, if the list seems to end, just let me know. It automatically is built into the software where if it doesn't see like the emails being clicked on or whatever, it then will sometimes stop the list. So I just have to get it restarted if that does happen. But that would be what I would recommend. Maybe shoot me an email and I'll just put you on that list, and we can tailor it and we can customize it if you end up deciding there's only certain cities you want, or certain like maybe just townhomes, or maybe no townhomes, just single family, and it would just shoot to your inbox every time, once a day, the new inventory that has hit the market, and you can view it and study the market. So yeah, that's great way to learn. So, or get an idea of what's happening in a particular area in the market. So definitely saves you from going on like realtor.com every day and trying to pull things up. This automatic, if there's a day or two you don't even want to look at them, you just delete the email and move on. And maybe you're sitting in the airport somewhere one day and you just want to read some of them, and they'll be sitting there. So let's see what other questions I had here. And also, if you do decide to send me the email on that there, if you give me an idea like the company or something that you'd be working at, I can see what the location is, and I could even possibly recommend some areas that might be close by or something like that, some cities, maybe save you like commuting time, et cetera, et cetera. I can also give you a general idea. Because commuting in Utah from east to west is sometimes the most difficult. Our freeway, we have one major freeway, goes north to south. But when you're going, especially in areas like Salt Lake and Utah County, trying to go from the east side of town, the west side of town, or back and forth can be time consuming. So sometimes if I know where someone is working or a rough area, I can usually try to say, well, if we can stay in these particular cities here, you'll back and forth to work a lot shorter than going clear across town all the time. So. Pet-friendly communities, Ogden. We got most of them. Furthest city away. Jobs. Oh, I'm running out of questions here. Traffic can't be worse than SoCal. No. I would agree with that. I mean, I do complain about Utah's traffic, but I've been in Southern California many times. San Diego, LA area, and it's I learned my lesson in LA though. I made the mistake of trying to catch a flight one time, and freeways were closed, and I barely made the flight. So we actually, a lot of times now when we're vacationing in Southern California, our night before we fly out, we always book a hotel right next to the airport there so that we can drive there during the day before. When does winter start? So winter starts, I don't know the official start date, but typically I usually see winter will start coming in from about Thanksgiving onwards. So our two busiest or two heaviest and coldest months for snow and colder temperatures is January and February. So, but it can snow in November and December and March. Typically, though, March time frame, a lot of the precipitation comes in. Typically, it'll be rain, possibility of snow. So, all right. I've got a job in North Salt Lake, and I'm looking for an apartment around 1,100. Any suggestions other than KSL? KSL is the main one. Yeah, KSL is it. And every landlord and property manager and apartment building that I know of is listing on KSL. So, all right, she's healthy for her age, thank God, but she told me she doesn't want to live out in the middle of nowhere, but she also doesn't want to live in the city. We are taking walks and going camping. Great. I mean, there's a lot of great areas. You have a lot of opportunities. If you don't want to be in a big city, I would probably stay away from like the Salt Lake City market and the Provo-Orem area. They are too heavy areas. There's areas of Davis County that's if you don't want to be in, say, the Layton, Kaysville area where it's a little bit more busy, you can go out west. Cities like Syracuse and Clinton, up in Weber County, areas like West Haven, Roy, Pleasant View, areas further north like Brigham City area. And then you have up in Cache Valley, Logan area, great areas. So none of those areas you're not out in the middle of nowhere. So like taking walks and going camping. Yeah, it's so as far as going camping, all kinds of areas, and most cities that we have great parks and recreation. Fantastic. So multiple parks and recreation. So wherever you're going. Any of those? Good health. Well, that's a good thing. Great. So that's somewhere I would probably look. I can't think of. Yeah, I would say some of those areas, maybe like west of the freeway is a little bit quieter than east of the freeway in a lot of areas. But I would also possibly look at, for people who aren't big fans of the city, the bigger city, if you can live somewhere that has the front runner train, it's a train that goes from Ogden all the way down to Provo, is very, very handy. Very, very handy. If you can be close to a train station there, and if you do want to do something in Salt Lake, shopping, or even if you have a doctor or something down there, it's a great way to go, to take the train, and you don't have to stress on the driving and the parking and everything like that. So that is definitely a plus, to be able to take like the front runner train. So my dad's close to 80 years old, and that's how he goes to Salt Lake nearly all the time when he wants to go to a jazz game or go to dinner. Takes front runner train down and knows the system and comes back. He just doesn't want to, fight the traffic sometimes or the parking, and, time is on his side in a sense, so he can leave in plenty of time to get the train, and et cetera, et cetera. He loves to travel that way to head down that area. So, and we do have some 55 and over communities, so that would be a consideration. If you would like to be in a 55, like a patio home, one level, it's very, very popular these days. So, and there's a lot to do sometimes with that whole community. A lot of times, some of those communities plan a lot of different trips and vacations and get-togethers with other people, neighbors, and et cetera, et cetera. My dad lives in a 55 and over community, and he's always busy, always busy. They've got people that, matter of fact, they were people in his neighborhood all got together, and they kind of do a few things together, and they were supposed to go with COVID hit, so it got canceled. They were supposed to do a big cruise to Hawaii. So they all got together and planned this here cruise. Got canceled, and they are looking at rescheduling this September, October, I think. He was telling me last. So it's been great for him. So my dad's the only one now. My mom passed away, so that little community he's in right there has been great. He golfs with some people there and does quite a bit. They go to yoga, et cetera, et cetera. It's been great for him. So, okay. Any more questions this evening? I'm going to call it a night and be back again next week, the exact same time. Hope everybody has a good night. Thank you.